My work has to have a certain level, a certain value, but my pricing and my brand is what's giving me value. It's not my photos.
Sidonie, hey, how are you? And thank you for joining us today. All the way from France. That's the beauty of technology, right? I'm sitting in Idaho, Otto's sitting in Mexico, and you're in France. Yeah. Tell us a little bit briefly about who you are, why you're on here, what you do.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's really cool. So I'm Sidonie. I live and work in south of France. I'm so bad at those telling about me, but I'm 30 years old. I have a 3-year-old little girl, and I've been shooting weddings for about 5 years now. And I think that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I'm here on the podcast to talk about my experience going into a higher market into photography, and also what I've learned a little bit about this change through your course and through exchanges with you, and how it's really helped me out.
Amazing. How did you get into photography, by the way?
Pure coincidence. I mean, a bit like everyone, got my first camera when I was 14. Love to shoot everything, cats and leaves and insects. And then at one point, it didn't make sense anymore for me to shoot anything and everything. And I started, my sister had kids, so I started to be the unofficial photographer of the family, playing with a bigger camera and playing with flash photography and stuff like that. I think one day a friend of mine told me he was getting married, and out of the blue, I was like, I'm going to take your photos. I had never shot any weddings. I had never shot any couples any events outside of my family events. Just felt right. And then from that day, it was right.
It's interesting that you say that like everybody, and it does seem like lots of people have a similar story. Like, I just fell in love with photography, and it's one of those rare jobs that I think you can still learn on your own or be apprenticed into, right? Yeah. It's cool that way.
Yeah, it's been really cool. We've been knowing you for about a year now, watching you kind of grow through this process. Have you in the beginning maybe having some apprehensions and I'm not sure about this, and then there's been a few points where all of a sudden you bumped and you grew and then you were off, right? So tell us a little bit more about that. What's this journey been like for you the past year getting into the luxury space and exploring that and deciding to take that leap? I'm very curious.
Well, first of all, I think it's been pretty much a year exactly where I've started to be like, I want to change something. It's not right now. I don't have enough money. I'm not working with the clients I want to work with. I'm feeling stuck, and I was really in a very low phase in my life. And I met some people, and I went to a festival where I met some people, and one of them talked to me about your Facebook group.
Oh,
so I jumped on the group, and I was like, wow. First of all, goldmine of information, and such a great community of people that were in the same mindset, that wanted to dream big, that wanted to do something more, and that didn't want to settle into low revenue and middle market. And so first, that was like a big change for me. That was like, okay, I can communicate with people that are on the same page as me, and they're not going to shut me down, or they're just going to push me instead of pushing me down. And I think that's that wasn't one of the big shifts. So I was like, okay, it's possible. It kind of opened the door of a new possibility for me. Having people like you talking about this completely unknown market that nobody talks about, and making it so, I'm not going to say casual, but so real and so possible. So I was like, if they can do it, why not me?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because your work is just exceptional. I was just looking at it again this morning, just absolutely beautiful. No, but really though, it's just exceptional. But if you don't understand, this is why we launched the business course, right? And not a photography course, because your work is amazing. That's not the thing. It's mindset, it's method, it's all of these little things. So, okay, but very cool.
So what was that mindset? Because I hear you talking a little bit about, I changed my mindset, right? But what maybe tell us a little bit, what was the mindset before? How did you go about changing the mindset? What's the new mindset?
Well, I used to struggle a lot with my pricing. I was really trying to base it on the market I knew and feeling, I was feeling imposter syndrome. I was, I was comparing myself to other photographers in my market and being like, they have 3 more years of experience. They've done this and this and that. I shouldn't be higher prices and I shouldn't be more expensive than them. And always putting myself down and not, I was always afraid of asking for too much to my clients, feeling like I was robbing them of their money, feeling like, they were giving everything to be able to have some photos and feeling unworthy, feeling that I didn't have enough experience. And at one point, as I was saying, it was so low in my life. I was like, I need to change something. And I actually talked to another photographer from Canada, and she's called Jennifer Moher. And she told me, at one point you can't do it anymore. You just can't. You have children, you have a family to feed. You have to have the money. You have to, because otherwise you're going to stop. You're going to hate it. You're going to stop. And it's
burn yourself out.
And when I was exactly. And then when I told her my pricing, she was shocked because, in Canada, it's not like the highest prices, but they have a higher price usually than in France. But they also have very smaller weddings in terms of hour range. So when I told her, like, my previous pricing was 2.5K for 12 hours, she was like, how?
No,
how can you do that?
No.
Not possible. No, exactly. She's like, no way, stop that right now. And I was like, okay, never heard that before. I used to hear, oh, you're so expensive, or who do you think you are? So, those kind of mindset, those kind of events really changed my mindset. And then I had to work on that because I was like, okay, that's a first hit. I think I worked on my self-confidence, first of all, trying to detach my worth from my work and my experience. That was one of the big steps, was like, the money I need to earn is something different than what I'm doing and how long I've been doing it and everything like that. Like, my work is different from my worth. And focusing on my worth instead of my work has been one of the biggest change. And not feeling like my value is not my worth, like it's not my self-worth. It's the value of what I'm providing to my client. It's not, oh, am I good enough? There's nothing like that. It's really, am I providing what my clients need?
Yeah. And we talk about that a lot, like dividing between you, the person, and the brand, that identity, right? Mm-hmm. Because your brand, that's the thing with this immense value, right? You can put that on in confidence. And like James and Schulze and Otto and James are quite different. I know Otto and James make up James and Schulze, but it's a different behavior pattern. It's a different confidence. It's a different set of skills, you know what I mean? And you can find, I think that's one of the biggest values of coming into a group like this. I remember for me, maybe 20 years ago, I had a similar mindset, like felt so, you knew, right? So you should feel this way. But I remember going and shooting a wedding with a photographer back then that I greatly admired, that I just thought was out of this world. I remember coming to the wedding and going, oh, okay. This is not like, this is okay. This is fine. I can do this. And I think those little steps are essential, because you step into a group like this, you hear, oh no, you can do this. This is happening. And you take that first little step, you accept that knowledge, you go, okay, I can do it. And now you can start working on the competence, right? Upping that game. And then the confidence follows. And all of a sudden you're like, yeah, this is what I charge. That's no problem. So that's okay.
Yeah. It's like, it's like a ladder, one step up, and then you have the other one to go up to. Like,
totally.
It's never both. It's rarely, I don't feel like it's both at the same time. It really feels like you push something up and then you have to catch up with the other thing, and then you push the other one again. And it's a balance all the time.
Yeah. It's one more thing. There's this quote for me. It says, it's one of my favorites. Jordan Peterson says, confidence comes from competence. And I was having this conversation with another guy yesterday. I was saying, I don't feel confident. I'm lacking confidence. But it's what you're saying now. That first little step is, oh, there is this market. Then you take that step of going, I'm going to step into it. And now you have to up the confidence, right? Or the competence. And then you're ready to go again. Okay, let's go again. And you, boom, and that's how it goes.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about, we are not our clients, right? We didn't grow up with wealth. We don't necessarily live like lavish lives now. And in chatting with you previously, like maybe you had, and I bring this up because I think we had the same thing. I know I did, is a struggle with the concept and mindset of just around money. Like money is bad. And can you talk a little bit about that shift for you a little bit? Like where you were, how did that shift? Because I think it's a really important, for a lot of people, myself included, I think it's a really important discussion to have.
Yeah.
I think it's still something I'm working on a lot. I don't feel like I've nailed it yet. I think I'm going to work on it for my whole life, probably.
Yeah, me too.
But I needed kind of proof that rich people weren't bad. Because I had been raised in this philosophy that money is bad. Money makes people bad. And it's money makes people greedy and selfish. And like even talking with my sister sometimes, she's like, yeah, you can't be rich without stepping on other people. Like for my family, it's really, you can't be a rich person and a good person.
Yeah.
And I've really been hammering myself with those different beliefs, which are that money is just enhancing the values you already have. If you're an arse, you're going to be a rich arse. And if you're a wonderful person, you're going to be a wonderful rich person. And it's just more money just makes you more visible and more powerful. And you have more power to do the things you want to do.
Yeah. Freedom. Yeah.
So which means that there are some very horrible rich people, and they're more visible than non-rich people because they have the money and the power, where the horrible poor people don't have any of that.
No, it's such a good point it's such a good point that they're more visible, right?
Yeah.
It's like a saying of the tallest trees catch the most wind kind of idea. Because to be certain, there are rich jerks, no doubt. But man, I know plenty of, middle class and poor jerks as well. Plenty.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most common objections with this is people go, oh, these clients are just demanding and difficult. I'm like, we've had the opposite experience 100%. The lower end clients are far more difficult for me than these clients, far more, beautiful people.
Yeah, I've had this experience as well with the clients I've booked for next year. Like we've really connected already on the call and on the emails and any exchange we've had. It felt really seamless and really fun. And I feel sometimes more connected to them than to previous clients that were cheaper, lower budget, not cheaper, but lower budgets. It's just about the people. It's not about the money.
Yeah. That's it, right? It's just people with more money and less money. That's all. It's still just people at the end of the day, right? Yeah. Same insecurities, same set of fears, same relational issues. Like kids also overwhelm them, like all of these things. It's the same. Yeah. It's very much the same.
We were talking with my future client about ADHD and, life problems and, and they booked me for 8,000 euros. And I'm like, well, sure. It's just, we went to a restaurant and I had a little dinner together and it was super fun. And, we hugged at the end. It's the same. It's even better because I feel more happy to go to their wedding because I'm paid more. I feel more trusted. I feel more valued. So that also brings a different mindset for me.
Totally. Well, let me ask you this then. On all of that, you just went with us to Italy, to Sicily. I was about to say France. That's where you're from, which was amazing. Tell us about that. What was your experience like of that event, of the whole thing?
It was mind-blowing. To be honest, it was, first of all, it was like such an amazing experience. So thank you again, guys. Like it was
thank you.
So cool to have this opportunity. it was beautiful. It was a beautiful wedding. It was it was different than what I used to do in some ways. In some ways, it was very similar. So it was different in a way that it was very luxurious. There was so much decoration, so much, flowers, and everything was high end, like the shoes, the dress, the venue, every detail was thought of. There was nothing sloppy. It was all perfect. So that was very different from what I used to have. Like, I used to have DIY weddings and stuff where it was just, let's try to do what we can.
Yeah.
The planning as well was very different. Even when I work with wedding planners, it's never been so much planning. Like on the day in Sicily, everything was taken care of. And the couple, I remember one time, I think someone asked the bride and she was like, I'm not taking care of it. The planner is taking care of it. Ask her. Like, they were delegating 100% their day. They didn't want to care about anything else than just enjoying the day.
Yeah.
So that was different.
And that makes a huge difference to you as a photographer, right? Because for me, with those old weddings, you walk into the space and you almost have to make it look amazing, right? So it changes the way you shoot. Yeah, with these events, you walk in and everything is amazing. And so now you can just react to it and play with it. And it changes how you see and how you work, right?
Definitely. That's one of the things that I realized. I was like, it's actually easier, for us. Because that's the thing that a lot of photographers are afraid of. When I talk to them, they're like, I'm so afraid that luxury, or not even luxury, but I'm far from luxury, but premium clients, premium weddings are going to be too complicated, too much pressure. It's going to be, I'm so scared. I'm like, it's easier. You just arrive and everything is set up for you. You just have to shoot. You just have to focus on your creativity and your work. And you don't have to worry about, does the bride have her shoes? Does the groom know where his tie is? Is the ceremony set up at the right place at the right time? Is the light okay? You don't have to worry about everything. And even for the couple shoot, like they just time it, at what time, where, and you just go with the flow. And it's so much more, chill and creative, I feel.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, I hear you saying is you get to do just one job.
Yeah.
Like your job. You said there were some things that were different that you've explained. What were some of the similarities? Like, is it the fact that it's still a wedding? Like,
exactly. It's still a wedding. It was, the getting ready and then the ceremony and first look and ceremony. They didn't do the first look, but ceremony and then reception, cocktail, and then party. Like, it was a wedding. There were emotions. People were people. They loved each other. They were happy to be here. They chatted. They talked about random things. People were nice and connected. Even the vendors were really chill. Like, I was scared of maybe I would feel less because I was second shooting. I was not, the main photographer. I was coming from, middle market or whatever. And it just felt welcomed and people were interested in who I was and they cared about what I would say, and they, they were not arrogant. Like, there was none of that. Even the guests, they were like, chatting with me and being cool.
But that's the thing, Sidonie. So because everything is taken care of and so exceptional, like, you're left with two things really: shoot, and you don't have to reinvent it because everything looks amazing. But the second thing is something we talk about a lot. It's like, now you're left with connecting with people, reading the room, right? Little things, mom, the vendors, the property, because you have this space and like your task is so simple now. It's like you shoot and you connect with people, and it's great, right? Isn't it? It's a great job.
It's amazing. It's really cool. Like, I want more weddings like that. Definitely.
You're going to have many more. There's no doubt. Yeah. You're going to have many more. Your mindset is on the right track. The work, like I said, the work is not the thing. The work is amazing. But like, I watch your mindset shift, because in the beginning, maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were eager when you joined the group, always very involved. But at various points, it was little like, just like I'm not sure about this, but I've watched you in the last few months. You've just taken off. You've just gone, no. I can do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to get mine. And it's wonderful to watch.
Thank you. I think it's just, you get proof as well on the way, you have the first time you want to charge 4K, you're like, it's never going to work. And then, well, you book 4K and then you book 8K and then I just booked 11K. And I was like, wow, like literally 6 months ago, I would never have thought I would book that. Not even like 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
So it's just those proofs.
Yeah.
They make you jump to the next step every time.
Yeah. And 2 years from now, I bet you're going to, a year or two from now, you're going to laugh at the 11K. You're going to go, oh, 11K. Yeah. But I thought 11K. But it's the journey, right? You just scale up. We humans do this all the time. It's okay. What I'm curious, what else stood out for you on that weekend? What else? Maybe like how we worked on the event. Was that different, the same? I'm curious.
I think it was interesting to see that you, as much experience as you have, you still had your stressful moments where you were running around and being like, how are we going to do it like this or like that? Like you still had, you were photographers. You made mistakes. You nailed stuff, and there was stuff that you didn't know.
I'm sorry. What mistake? What are you talking about? You made mistakes?
No, but it was interesting to see that working in the luxury space and having 20 years of experience doesn't make you flawless, and it doesn't make you superhumans,
Yeah.
Same, you were humans. It made you real as well. For me, that wasn't one of the cool things. It was I've been seeing you online and hearing you and being like, okay, that's cool, they're talking about this and that, but there was a little part of me that was like, but are they real? Like, do they really shoot those weddings? Are those weddings really, really real? And then I saw it and I was like, okay.
Yeah. But look, honestly, all joking aside, I'll pick it up, right? Yeah, we make mistakes. We absolutely do. You always will. It's like being a parent. There's just no ways to not. And that's the way we learn, by making mistakes. And yes, at moments we get stressed, and we have this experience of looking at the back of our car or doing a portrait shoot and going, it's just not happening. I'm not feeling it, right? But experience, this is the beauty of experience, has taught us, ignore that. Just keep going. It's there. It's there. Just keep connecting with people and keep rolling, right? And I think hopefully you saw some of that, because the big thing for us when I get pressured, it's because in my mind is always the planner. And we talk about this in the group, being good collaborators. We always want to make sure we exceed all of those timeline expectations, right? We never want them to be waiting for us. So, but you're right. There is some stress for sure. It's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. But it was great to see how you collaborated with the planners and how you made their life easy by being available and being easy to reach and smiling, both of you. And I think you talk about it in some of your course or in the group about like one of you is more chatting with people and the other one is more like working. So Odo, you were really focused on what you were doing, and James was more in the cocktail, chatting with people, being cool and nice and fun with people. And it was fun to see also, how you connected with them while still, finding the balance between I'm going to chat with you, but I still have to work and I'm not rude leaving. I'm still, you were doing the photos they were asking for. You were even suggesting stuff that they were not thinking about for like cocktail photos, guiding them as well, giving them confidence, giving them jokes so they would feel confident and chill and relax and laugh.
Yeah.
It was really interesting to see.
Otto, I'll note that she said, I was just talking and you were working.
Oh, it's been noted. Don't worry about it. I noted it immediately. And it's being recorded.
And that's why I formed James and Schulte. Like work harder, not smarter.
No, but all joking aside though, it is a thing, right? Like it's part of the balance for us. I like people too, but my shooting style is very much, I get lost in composition and stuff. And so I hide out. And, and James is very connected to people. So even when he shoots, it's like, and the stuff that he gets because of that is powerful because people love him. They trust him. They've already spoken to him, So it's a part of the mix, the sauce. Okay.
It was nice to see also how the balance between being there for the client and still being unobtrusive I felt it especially with James when you did the groom getting ready. You were there, but not there. So you were there. You were sometimes laughing at what they were saying and stuff, but never, jumping in the conversation or, and you were not directing that much. It was just people were doing their thing and you were just capturing that and going around the room and trying to be creative and catch emotions and stuff.
Let's shift a little bit. Like, I'm really curious, Sidonie, like, you talk about going from 2.5 to 8 to now $11,000 or euros. Those are massive changes, right? That's
huge.
That's almost 4 times increase.
Massive,
right? A 4x increase in your rates. What are some of the things that you worked on? And I saw a list that in the Facebook group. I've done this. Like, I'm like, yeah, this girl has been working. But tell us, like, what is it? What have you changed? What was necessary to make that 4x move?
So, first thing, I changed my pricing, which was the biggest step. But also, it is what led me to where I am in a way that I realized that's also one of the mindset thing. It's my pricing is giving me value. It's not the other way around. I know, of course, my work has to have a certain level, a certain value, but my pricing and my brand is what's giving me value. It's not my photos. So first deciding, okay, from now on, I'm worth 5K or 6K average instead of 2.5. First step. Then I rebranded. I actually rebranded before I knew about the course. Quite a lot of time before, but it was luckily right on point. So I rebranded to a more sophisticated and unique to me brand.
Yeah, your work has that for sure.
Yeah, I really wanted to have something that spoke to a more elegant and minimalistic approach, and have this luxury feel to it, which was like gold and letterpress and good quality paper, all those kind of things that because the branding for me was also one of the big points in my mindset shift. It was like, now I send a thank you card and I'm proud of it. I send it and I'm like, they're gonna love it. I know they love it. It's gonna make them feel like, wow, she's the girl. She's not sending us some sloppy prints. It's letterpress with gold foil. So rebranding. I curated, that's from the course mainly, but I curated a lot of my work. I really kicked out so many images and got a lot less images, but I wanted them to reach exactly the clients I wanted to reach. So that's one of the big part of the course.
Cutting stuff away.
I wanted to get more modern. Yeah, I wanted the feel that I wanted. I wanted it to be clear on the first look. I didn't want it to be, oh, what is she doing? No, okay, she's doing modern editorial while being raw and emotional. That's what I want.
Clear as day. Yeah.
Yeah. I worked on my brand message, my copy. I changed the copy on my website. I hired one of my bride, actually, who's a copywriter. So I was like, perfect. She knows what I'm talking about. So she remade my copy, and I'm still working on it. I still want to make it more bold and more me. Right now it feels a bit too elevated and sophisticated, and I want it to be a bit more, authentic to me. But I feel like it's giving another message than before. And I took out a lot from the copy as well. Like I see on a lot of luxury websites, there's almost nothing. Almost no text at all. On yours, for example, there's nothing. Like we go on your site, it's just a few catchphrases and a lot of images. And I was like, okay, that's the thing. I know from that, they don't have to tell me. It's obvious from the website design, from the branding, from the images. So taking out, like, keep it simple, stupid, and less is more. Was really my goal with that.
Yeah, less is more is huge. That's amazing. Sorry, keep going, Sidonie.
No, it's okay. One of the first thing I did as well, and I was worried about that, was switching to English, everything. Because I know my clients are mainly foreigners coming to get married in France or in Europe. So, and if I had some French client, they would speak English. So it made sense for me to switch in English. I
think that's a really important point for any Europeans listening to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the market in Europe is, I mean, the biggest wedding I've booked right now is a couple from Belgium in Belgium. So there is a market in Europe, but it's not as huge as the Americans and the Australians and Canadians coming to get married in Europe.
No, but it's interesting that you mentioned that about the Europeans, because I was just in Amsterdam. I came back from Amsterdam. Within 24 hours, I wrote James, I said, there's a market here. Because if you walk through Amsterdam and you see the level of clothing and the cars, and you're like, oh no, they're here. But it's the same as in South Africa, right? Lots of money, but with weddings, somehow the industry has capped photography at like, they'll have a mega million rand wedding, but photography is 30,000 rand. That's it. So it's not because the money is not there. It's just a story that the marketers made up for one and then believed and just telephoned, to one another. Luxury, that market's everywhere. There's no country in the world you're going to go where there isn't this. They're everywhere. Now, granted, the American market in general is, they'll spend more money. That is true. But it's everywhere. Yeah, I love all the changes, and I love the less is more. And even listening to your experience in Sicily, I love how much little things you noticed. I think that's what's setting you up for huge success, honestly, in the future. It's those little things, curating and chopping away and noticing, right?
Because we say often, Otto, it's not. There's rarely is there just one thing. Right. Yeah. It's little things stacked over time.
Yeah.
It's so many tiny things. Like I took new headshots as well. So I wanted to look more, more chic on my website. And instead of having those very chill.
Hometown girl.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was not my image anymore. So I had to make everything coherent to that image while still being me. So I don't have headshots where I'm like super serious and in a studio, but I'm laughing and I'm having fun, but I'm still, I'm dressed up very nicely. It's also something I changed how I dress up on weddings. Now I'm wearing white, like either like in Sicily, I wore a dress, but usually on weddings, I'm wearing like black pants and white shirt, something very clean and chic. So I just melt in, blend into the rest of the vendors.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm sitting here listening to you talk and realizing like all these little changes that you've done, like, yes, they're great for the brand, but every single thing that you've done also leads to confidence, right? You're your brand is a better version of you, which in turn turns around and makes you a better version of yourself. Yeah. Right. Like that confidence, like you take that in personally.
Yeah. I think my brand is my ideal me.
That's a great way to say it.
If I had, all the money I need, and if I had all the, if I had the guts, it would be me. It will be me soon.
But that's the thing. That what you just said, that's huge, right? Because you have to have that vision for your brand and for yourself of how and who you want to be. The question is not who, it's like, who do you want to be? What do you want to be like? Okay, now once you figure that out, let's figure out how to get there. It's just, that's huge. And I can even see in you now, it's funny, we just saw you in Sicily, but your confidence is up. Your competence is up. The way you're speaking, there's less question mark, and it's more like, because you've stepped into the space, you've started doing things, and that's yours now. It's not anymore like you're listening to somebody else telling you like, no, I did this. I know this thing. I can play with it now. And that's growth, isn't it? There's no shortcutting that.
Yeah. I just came across a quote that said, our life is what our thoughts make it. It's like Marcus Aurelius, from thousands of years ago, and it's still true today. Like exactly what you're saying, like what we think is what becomes a reality.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. Huge.
And we've kind of interrupted you, but is there, if you could point to one thing that that led to success? I know I said it's not typically one thing, but if there was one thing, what's the one thing that you think has made the biggest change for your business?
I think it's really hard to answer that because, as you say, it's so many little things. I hesitated a lot, so I'm going to cheat and say two things.
Fair enough.
I would say curation. I think that's probably the one thing. Really, really curating and making sure that everything I post and share is not everything, but everything I post like on my feed. Maybe not the stories, because stories is something else, but everything I post on my feed and everything I put on my website has to be on point with my brand.
Yeah.
And, taking out all the photos of Minelli shoes or H&M, all those things that don't speak to my clients. They will see it and it'll be like, well, that's cheap. So being able to really show less but better, I think, that was the big thing.
Yeah.
And then second one, and we haven't talked about it yet, but something you talk a lot about in your course, and you know what it is. It's outreach. So I've started to work on outreach a lot, and I still have work to do on that. We've talked about it in Sicily, and I'm still, figuring out how to do it my way, which feels true to me, and it might be different than you and other people. But I've also had some results from that, having, keeping connection with planners I've worked with and making new relationship. And, I just booked a call with a planner from Italy and just, making myself known in this industry, making myself visible, even if I'm not yet the reference there. I'm getting there, and people hear about me and see my comments and see my messages and see that I'm following them. And outreach.
Yeah, it's huge. You're inserting yourself in the conversation, right? Instead of waiting and going, oh, it's not happening. I was thinking about this yesterday when somebody was posting in the group about the typical thing about the industry is slow, bookings are slow, there's no money, there's no work, and everybody kind of jumps on that, and here we are, woe is us. But I was just thinking again how outreach, and if you have a proper outreach, how that wipes that out. Because if you don't have a consistent outreach plan, when the market dips, you dip, right? And when the market comes up, you come up. And this is what photographers are describing, this up and down. But the moment you take charge of that pipeline, things might slow down a touch, but it's not nearly as big a dip as for the rest, like Peter said it, we said it, like we keep growing every year, but that's because we keep doing the thing, that outreach, we keep putting ourselves in the conversation. And so even if the market goes down, the moment it comes up again, we're on everybody's mind because we've kept it going. So it's critical. It's critical.
I feel in a way, outreach is the only way to have control on how people, because when you're posting on social media, going to, being there, and it's the pulling marketing. It's like, people will find you eventually and they will contact you, but you have no control over that. When you're doing outreach, you're in control. You're telling them, I am available. I am that price, and get me your clients because I am good for them. I'm what they need. I'm what you need. And then you can monitor that. You can see how many people you've reached out to, how many of them answered you, how many of them are interested, which ones are not at this price level yet, and all those kind of things. You are total control.
Yeah, and you're in it for the long haul now, right? You're not reaching out going, your expectation when you write a planner now, correct me if I'm wrong, it shouldn't be, isn't like, oh, they're going to give me a booking. You're starting a journey, a relationship, right? We talk about this like plot of land, and you're going to water it, and you're going to till it, and you're going to work it, and it's going to keep yielding over time, and it's going to get more and more. And you have many plots like this all over the place. And that's what gives you that control thing was the biggest thing for me too. For years, success to me felt like what you just up and down, up and down. And the moment we started doing this, I'm like, oh, we're in control now. We open and close the tap. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to point out to you, Sidonie, maybe you're aware of it, maybe you're not aware of it, but I think it's an important distinction between some of the people that have been in our course and others. From the very beginning, what I've noticed about you is that you are looking for opportunity, and then you seize opportunity. Like if you think if I think of all the things, all the opportunity that you've grabbed just from us, like from the very beginning, like so many, right? The fact that you went to Sicily and a bunch before that as well, but just small little things it started with, like you coming to us going, hey, how can I help you? Like there's always, when you provide value, which you have done over and over and over again, there's opportunity in that because people want to reciprocate that.
Yeah.
And you've done that so well. And I hope that you'll just continue to do that. I wanted to make sure that maybe it is intentional. I think that probably is. You're smart.
Yeah.
And not that we provided you all these opportunities that have been what's led to your growth. I don't think that's what I'm saying. That's not the truth. But what I am saying is, if you're looking for all the same opportunities in your business that you are just with us, that's just going to keep. It's going to be exponential growth. It's just going to keep going because you provide value and it comes back to you.
Yeah,
it's why you came with us to Italy. It's why you're here.
No, but we talked about this in Sicily, James, with Sidonie. It's like, it's exactly the same hook with a planner and getting business. You bring value consistently and people want to return it. It's not even a conscious decision. It's like, sometimes it is, but it's like, it comes back to you. With you especially, it was like, we've had these conversations because you keep bringing value to us and in the group. We were literally going, how can we return this favor? And you did that. Like we didn't in the group go and pick you and go, okay, let's, it's because of what you did. It's because of it's beautiful and effective, incredibly effective.
It is intentional in some way, but I'm not really doing it to get something back. Like sometimes I am. I'm never like completely, I'm giving for how can I explain that? Like, it makes me happy to bring value to people. Like it really does. When I see that, I went to the same conference that I went last year that shifted my mind. And I went again this year and in a different mindset. And it was really funny because at every speaker, would end the speak and there's a Q&A. And automatically during the speech, I'm always trying to find at least one question I can ask them because I want to bring value to the audience. I want to ask a question that will bring value to the audience, but I also want the speaker to feel like I've listened to him or her, and I'm curious and interested about what they're saying. And so I asked at least one question to every speaker, and at the end, I was called the question lady, and people came to me and be like, "Thank you so much for asking those questions. It was awesome." And they even started asking me questions about how I work and stuff. But I didn't do it because I wanted people to notice me. I knew they would notice me, but it wasn't for that. It was really because it made me happy to bring value. And it's the same with the group. And I booked this last wedding because of one person from the group, Elke. She sent me a date that she was already booked. And it's definitely because of the group, because we haven't been chatting that much outside of it. But, for me, it's always been about making yourself visible to everyone, even people you don't think, it's not only the planners or the couples, it's also the other photographers and the other vendors and everyone in the industry that can that you can help at one point, and maybe they will never give it back to you, but it doesn't matter.
No, but this also speaks to directly to one of the common objections is that cold outreach is somehow, it's horrible and it has to be horrible. And we keep saying to people, it can be very organic and, well, not organic initially. You have to get it started, but it can be very authentic. Like you're legitimately reaching out, and we connect with a planner and we say, we listen to what's your vision? What's your story? We're legitimately interested. We really want to understand, seriously, how can we serve you? How can we be more to you than just, the normal? So yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, that'll take you a long, long way, no doubt.
I think one thing about that I want to say is, for me, it's really important. It's something I hear a lot of people when I talk about cold outreach to other photographers or anything about like going out and asking for it. People are like, but I'm afraid they're going to say no. And for me, it's just a mindset thing. I've never been afraid of no. For me, it's the worst thing that can happen is that they would say no. I'm not losing anything. I'm just, at least the worst thing is that they would say no. But even then they would say no, they would have seen my name. And next time, even if they said no before, they might say yes. And if you want something in life, you have to ask for it. If you don't ask for it, probably nobody's going to give it to you for free. You have to be, hey, I'm interested. I'm the one who wants that. Give it to me.
That's so good.
It's just how it works. And when you ask, you get it.
Well, so James, that story about at Rosewood Mayakoba, right, with Cici, I immediately think of that. We were at the Rosewood Mayakoba a few years ago, and we were having dinner in this garden, the chef's private garden. And it was us and Cici New York, famous stationery designer from New York City, and the planner. And we were sitting on the one end of this long table. On the other end, there were other guests. We didn't know them, but they were invited to this dinner. And so we saw the guests, right? And all of us were thinking the same thing, ooh, potential. But Cici was the one that got up and immediately went over to them. It's like, hey, I'm Cici, and then they realized they already knew each other. But she said to us, like, afterwards, you have to ask for what you want. Always ask for what you want. If you're sitting there thinking, ooh, this is potential business, that's not good enough. Go tell them. Go and you do that, which leads me to my next question. And you've obviously taken quite a few risks the last year, leaps. I mean, you've kind of, I can see how you're going to answer this, but answer that for me. How's that been?
It's been horrible. It's been hard. It's been really hard. I have a family. I have a child to raise. I have no savings, no extra income except for my husband that earns like pretty average money. I was terrified. I was literally terrified.
Yeah.
The first time I raised my pricing, I was like, on the side, I was on job offers being like, I need to find a job right now because if that doesn't work, I need to have a second, something on the side. So I had to fight myself and my imposter syndrome, and I had to fight.
Sure.
It was a risk. It was also a risk to my community. I was getting myself out of a whole community that I used to be in, this middle market photographer. So getting out of this was a risk because I was losing all my previous not friends, but, colleagues that could bring me business and stuff like that. So I had to fight that. I had to fight rejection from this community as well, because they were jealous or envious or threatened or, anything. So it was, I'm not going to say that it wasn't horrible in the sense that I wouldn't do it again. I would definitely do it again. It was 100 times worth it, but it wasn't an easy thing to do. Definitely. No. But at the end, I already have half of my season booked right now. And I know that when I have a request, most of the time it's hitting the right target. It's hitting the right clients. They're ready to invest what I'm asking them to. So I'm starting to not be worried anymore about next year. And I'm definitely not worried about the year after. I know 2025 is going to be fine. I know it's a transition phase. I know I might not book 20 weddings. It's not my goal anyway, but I might not be full next year. But with what I've booked already, I'm already at the amount of money I made this year. So it's okay. Yeah. And if I need, and that's also the thing when you talked about it, but you talked about having to do another job on the side when you made this change. And I'm ready to do that as well. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of having to work double time for a while because it would allow me to not work double time for the thing I don't want to do.
That's it.
I'd rather work at McDonald's or, Starbucks serving coffee to people for 5 months. But then I have enough money on the side so I can be like, okay, whatever I book, I'm going to be fine. And then I can really ask for what I want without being afraid. And I can, I think the hardest part is, when you ask 5K and you're like, if I don't book this one, I'm not gonna, my season, how to say that? Before, when you book 2K weddings, you have 20 weddings to go. So if you book 18, it's still fine. When if you book at 10K, you have 10 weddings to go. If you book 9, you lost 10K. You didn't lose 2K. So the stakes are higher, but also when you get it,
Yeah.
and it's easier to, the steps are easier in a way.
Yeah. Look, it's a real thing, the risk. That's why I love hearing from you now. Like whenever all growth is like that. You have to leave where you are now in order to grow beyond it. It's that simple, right? I would love to have you back on this podcast next year, this time, and then the following year, this time. I think it'd be a fascinating display of your tenacity and the consistency and the persistence of it, right? Because I bet you things are going to be drastically different.
Yeah, I was going to say, Sidonie, like I'm glad to hear you saying you would not do it again, right? Because you're going to have to do it again. Like that's the thing about growth, regardless of what you're trying to get better at, and it's a never-ending process, right? We're in it right now. Like
100%.
Are we going to raise our prices for 2025, 2024? What does that look like, right? And there's inherent risk in that. And you can always find the reasons to not do it. But so I'm glad to hear you're willing to do it again.
Yeah, because when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, right? If we raise our rates now, we're saying yes to the new rate. Immediately, we're saying no to the current rates. And so that's the risk. That's that little leap. It's always there. But if you want to grow, you got to grow. And you're growing.
Yeah.
You're growing.
Yeah. It's funny how I see, for example, before I used to, when I had a French request, because it's mainly French people that don't have the budget right now. So when I had a French request coming from previous, funnels, I would be like, my prices start, like I would give a middle between my actual prices and my previous prices and tell them, I'm always, free to discuss it and whatever. And then recently I just sent them like, it's 5K. And they're like, okay, no budget. I'm like, okay, fine. And it's free, but it's freeing. But it took me those little steps of like, sneaking in this market.
Yeah, no doubt. That's how it
goes.
I love
it. This has been amazing.
Well, seriously.
We've so enjoyed getting to know you and watching you grow. And man, if we can help in any way, please let us know. We always want to. And yes, let's have her back on 1 year from now.
No, your magic works. I was thinking this on the call. Now I'm like, what can we do for Sidonie? It's working. It's working again. Maybe a Starbucks gift card. How about that?
I don't go to Starbucks.
It's too expensive. No.
No, but it's already. I mean, what we've talked about in Sicily and having you being so reachable and available for everyone, but for me as well. And it's already so much. You're the little thing. Not a little thing, but you're the ones always pushing and being like, yeah, you can do it, and we've been through it, and you can do it as well. And so I think you're the only ones right now, I feel, doing that in that way in the industry. And I think that has so much value, not only for me, but for everyone in the group that really wants to do the things. Because there's some people that are not ready, but for everyone that really wants to do it, I think you bring so much value. So thank you for that and for giving me a voice as well. It's awesome. I love to share about that. I love that maybe I can inspire people to do it because I'm not exceptional. I'm just me. I just have made these changes and made those realizations, and it's just made the system work. So it's possible for everyone. It's not, I'm kind of like the middle between the middle market and you, like, okay, how can we get there? And then we can get to James and Otto.
Oh, yeah.
She's coming for us is what she's saying.
No doubt. There's no doubt. I look forward to that first wedding we'll lose to you. I do. We'll celebrate it with you. For real.
Okay.
I won't. Otto can do that.
One wedding. One. Just one.
Okay, one. Celebrate one.
And then it's war. It's war, Sidonie. No. Seriously, though, we're so excited for you. Honestly, like, for you and for your family and for your life and all of this, like, it's Yeah, go get it. It's exciting.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sidonie.